War, it's chaos, bloodshed, and strategy. But behind every battle line and military uniform lies a shadow world of secrets. Stories so bizarre, terrifying, and unbelievable they've been buried in the footnotes of history. Until now. Did you know the US military used inflatable tanks to fool the Nazis? Or that a pigeon once saved nearly 200 soldiers under heavy fire? What about the time a world leader tried to weaponize bats? These aren't conspiracy theories. They're real, documented moments that shape the course of human conflict in ways you've never imagined. Welcome to the Mind Metrics. Today we're pulling back the curtain on 30 war secrets that defy logic, break all the rules, and challenge everything you thought you knew about warfare. Buckle up. This isn't just history. This is war uncovered. Fact 1. The Ghost Army used inflatable tanks. During World War II, the US created a top-secret unit known as the Ghost Army. This group of artists, sound engineers, and set designers used inflatable tanks, fake radio signals, and sound effects to fool the Germans into thinking Allied forces were in places they weren't. Their deceptions were so convincing, they diverted enemy troops and helped secure key victories, including the success of the D-Day invasion. Fact 2, a pigeon saved nearly 200 lives in World War I. Cher Ami, a carrier pigeon, became a hero during World War I. In 1918, an American battalion was trapped behind enemy lines and accidentally being bombarded by their own forces. Cher Ami flew through enemy fire to deliver a critical message revealing their position. Despite being shot, blinded in one eye, and losing a leg, the bird completed its mission, saving 194 soldiers. Fact 3. Nazi scientists developed cocaine-fueled super pills. In World War II, Nazi Germany experimented with a drug called D-Niox, a pill that combined cocaine, methamphetamine, and oxycodone. It was designed to enhance the stamina of soldiers. Tested on prisoners in Sachsenhausen concentration camp, the drug made them march up to 90 kilometers without rest. The goal was to create a chemically enhanced super soldier. Fact 4. Japan planned to bomb the US with plague-infected fleas. Toward the end of World War II, Japan developed a plan to send plague-infected fleas to the United States via balloon bombs. The project, known as Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night, aimed to start a biological pandemic in California. Thankfully, the plan was scrapped before it could be carried out. Fact 5. The US once considered nuking the moon. During the Cold War, the US Air Force proposed a secret project called a 119 to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon. The purpose? To intimidate the Soviet Union by showing off America's technological and military prowess. The plan was never executed, but documents about it were declassified decades later. Fact 6. Soldiers were given amphetamines to stay awake. Both Allied and Axis soldiers were routinely issued amphetamines during World War II. British troops received Benzedrine, and German soldiers took Pervitin, essentially crystal meth, to fight fatigue. It kept them alert for days at a time, but led to dangerous addictions and psychological breakdowns. Fact 7. The longest war in history lasted 335 years, without a single casualty. The so-called 335 Years' War was between the Netherlands and the Isles of Scilly, off the coast of England. Declared in 1651 during the English Civil War, the war remained technically ongoing until a peace treaty was finally signed in 1986. No shots were ever fired. Fact 8. World War II. Paratroopers had fake body parts to trick the enemy. The Allies used parachute dummies called Ruperts during D-Day to confuse the Nazis. These stuffed figures were dropped by the thousands to draw German fire and attention away from the real invasion zones. Some even contained explosives that would detonate on impact to create noise and chaos. Fact 9. The Pentagon was designed to resist air attacks before Pearl Harbor happened. The Pentagon was under construction when the attack on Pearl Harbor occurred. Amazingly, Its unique five-sided shape and low height were already chosen in part to make it more difficult to target by air. The shape also maximized internal efficiency, a clever design years ahead of its time. Fact 10. Napoleon was once attacked by bunnies. In a bizarre post-war celebration, Napoleon organized a rabbit hunt for himself and his officers. His staff gathered hundreds of rabbits, but instead of running away, the rabbits charged Napoleon and swarmed him. Why? Because they had bought domesticated rabbits used to being fed, not wild ones. Fact 11. Rats were used as explosive devices. The British Special Operations Executive created exploding rats during World War II. They filled dead rats with plastic explosives and intended to leave them near German boilers, hoping someone would shovel them in with coal. The plan was discovered early, but it still forced the Germans to inspect their coal supplies thoroughly. Fact 12. A World War II pilot saved his enemy midair. German pilot Franz Stigler encountered a heavily damaged American B-17 bomber and instead of shooting it down, escorted it out of enemy airspace. He saw the wounded crew and made a moral decision not to kill them. They survived, and decades later, the American pilot Charlie Brown tracked him down. The two became lifelong friends. Fact 13. U.S. Navy used blimps to hunt submarines. During World War II, the U.S. Navy deployed lighter-than-air blimps to patrol the coastline and look for German submarines. Blimps could stay aloft for over a day and were nearly silent, making them excellent for surveillance and sub-hunting operations. Fact 14. British codebreakers shortened World War II by years. The work of British mathematician Alan Turing and his team at Bletchley Park is credited with shortening World War II by 2 to 4 years. They cracked the German Enigma code, giving the Allies crucial insight into Nazi military plans. Their work was so secret that even decades later, many who worked there weren't allowed to speak about it. Fact 15. The first war with tanks was a disaster. Tanks made their battlefield debut during the Battle of the Somme in 1916. But early models were slow, unreliable, and often broke down before reaching enemy lines. Despite their initial failure, tanks revolutionized modern warfare and became a military staple. Fact 16. The CIA trained cats as spies. In the 1960s, the CIA launched Acoustic Kitty, a $20 million project to implant listening devices in cats to spy on the Soviets. The first test ended when the cat was hit by a taxi. The project was eventually deemed a failure. Fact 17. Ancient Romans used flaming pigs in war. To fight enemy war elephants, ancient Roman armies used pigs covered in pitch and set them on fire. The squealing and chaos would terrify the elephants, causing them to panic and trample their own troops. Fact 18. Hitler's nephew fought for the U.S. Navy. William Patrick Hitler, Adolf Hitler's nephew, defected to the United States and fought in the U.S. Navy during World War II. After the war, he changed his name and lived in anonymity in New York. Fact 19. Canada invaded Iceland in World War II. Sort of. In 1940, Canadian troops landed in Iceland without resistance as part of a joint Allied occupation. Iceland remained neutral but allowed the troops in to defend against a possible Nazi invasion. No shots were fired, and the occupation helped maintain control of the North Atlantic. Fact 20. The Great Emu War, Australia's strangest battle. In 1932, Australia launched a military operation to cull emus that were damaging crops. Armed soldiers with machine guns went to war with birds and lost. The emus outran, outmaneuvered, and outlasted the troops. The operation was called off after several failed attempts. Fact 21. British used fake trees for surveillance in World War I. The British Army built hollow, camouflaged steel trees to serve as observation posts. These fake trees were placed in no man's land and manned by soldiers who could watch enemy movements without being seen. Fact 22. World War II soldiers used silly putty for repairs. Before it became a children's toy, silly putty was experimented with as a possible rubber replacement during World War II. Soldiers found it useful for temporarily plugging holes and insulating electronics in the field. Fact 23, there were war elephants in ancient times. Hannibal famously used war elephants to cross the Alps during the Second Punic War. These massive animals terrified enemy troops and were used as ancient battle tanks. Though they were difficult to control and often caused chaos on both sides. Fact 24, World War I sparked a surge in plastic surgery. The horrific facial injuries caused by trench warfare and shrapnel led to rapid developments in reconstructive surgery. Surgeons like Harold Gillies pioneered techniques that laid the foundation for modern plastic surgery. Fact 25, the U.S. planned to use bat bombs. The U.S. developed a bizarre World War II weapon, incendiary bombs strapped to bats. These bats were meant to roost in Japanese buildings and set them ablaze. The project, called Project X-Ray, was tested but eventually scrapped in favor of the atomic bomb. Fact 26, war has driven some of the greatest tech advances. From radar and the internet to GPS and penicillin, war has often accelerated technological innovation. While the causes are tragic, the consequences have reshaped civilian life in countless ways. Fact 27, Saddam Hussein had a Quran written in his blood. Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein allegedly had a version of the Quran written using his own blood over the course of 2 years. It's one of the most grotesque artifacts of modern warfare and remains highly controversial. Fact 28. Hitler was once Time magazine's Man of the Year. In 1938, Time magazine named Adolf Hitler Man of the Year, not as praise, but because he was the most influential figure of that year. The title reflects influence, not morality, and Time later clarified that it was not an honor. Fact 29. Winston Churchill survived multiple assassination attempts. Churchill narrowly escaped death numerous times, including a near miss from a bomb dropped on Downing Street and a canceled trip on a plane that was later shot down. His survival seemed almost miraculous. Fact 30. A ceasefire was called to save cats during World War II. During the Battle of Monte Cassino in Italy, soldiers from both sides temporarily stopped fighting so that a group of trapped cats could be rescued from a monastery. Even amid war, compassion for animals brought a moment of peace. War is often painted in black and white. Heroes and villains, victories and defeats. But as you've seen today, the truth is far stranger and far more complicated. From pigeons that became heroes to top-secret missions that sound like science fiction, these astonishing facts prove that even in humanity's darkest hours, there's no limit to what people will invent, endure, or sacrifice. History isn't just about dates and battles. It's about the hidden stories, the bizarre, the unbelievable, and the forgotten that still shape our world today. If this journey through the shadows of warfare opened your eyes, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a dive into the strange, the smart, and the surreal with the Mind Metrics. And remember, behind every headline, there's a hidden story. Thanks for watching. And until next time, stay questioning, stay curious.